As teachers and leaders in schools for nearly 20 years, we have noticed the journey to success has become really diverse. And as parents of kids in schools, we're also on the other side now.
So we're hoping to share with both high school students and their parents a variety of real pathways to remove the fear around what the future might look like beyond school, and to remind you that you truly are more than a score.
I'm Laura, and I'm the teacher who has sat alongside high school students every step of the way through their pathway during and beyond school. I've seen the highs, the lows, and all that's in between.
And I'm Dan, a previous assistant principal and teacher who's worked with teachers, families and students in suburban, metro and remote schools. No matter the setting, I know every parent wants their kid to find their path to success.
As parents ourselves, every episode is shared to give you insight and ways to help you and your child through their pathway.
So you'll see and hear real stories from real people. You'll hear about their successes, failures, and the lessons learned through each guest's experiences during and beyond school.
All right, Dan. Now the scripted part is over, the official part is over.
Yes.
Tell me what your hope is for this podcast.
So for me, the best hope is parents and listeners will discover all the different possibilities for pathways, open up new ways of thinking, and discover that, there's a lot more out there beyond school. What about you?
I think my time in schools has taught me that people that thrive at school sometimes can be quite limited in that. They've done well in that system and therefore that is the way that they're going to do it. And alternatively, people that haven't thrived at school, there can be sometimes a little bit of shame and stigma that they take with them. So I'm hoping from both ends of the spectrum, there's an opportunity for kids and parents to get curious around, well, what is it actually that I like? What is it that my strengths are? And how can I do it perhaps in the way that I hadn't considered before?
I love that. I think listening to what you've just said, so I love the fact that everyone, no matter what they've done in school, has walked away either with a score or they've walked away completing it. They might have gone unscored.
Sure.
But either way, they've all had their own experience of school. And so for every single person, they sometimes think that's the only way you do school. Whereas this podcast is going to let people hear different stories of what schools looked like for people and then also what the pathways have looked like since school. And I think it should start to challenge their way of thinking about it. And I love the fact that you said being curious, because I think if we do our job really well with this podcast, it helps people discover there's no one way to do school, there's no one pathway from school, and there's a lot of different possibilities out there. So what difference does this make to a listener?
The first thing I'm hopeful for is that parents and children going through or students going through this will feel less alone. I think sometimes we feel that these things are happening only to us and we're the only ones going through it. But I mean, just talking to parents and friends and the guests that we've had on this podcast, we're all going through this slightly messy, uncomfortable time together. And so I think it's really important for people to feel as though they're part of some kind of community of support. I think that's my biggest hope, really.
And I think from every single parent or high school person that we've already spoken to and every guest, everyone, when we've described that there's different ways to go through school or that there's no one pathway, everyone's just responded so positively and said, yeah, that sounds like I need to listen to that.
Yeah.
So as you just said, I think the difference it's going to make is it'll help you see that other people are going through similar things, or it'll just make you realise that different people have gone through this and there's lots of different options out there for you. And really, if you're a parent, you walk away equipped with some different ways of thinking or some potential pathways that you could talk about with your kid. If you're someone that's going through high school, you won't feel alone. You'll realise that there's these two other teachers or other guests that are talking about things that you could consider. And I hope it just sets people up to realise that where they're going and what they're trying to do doesn't have to necessarily be set in stone. Yep. You giving me a thumbs up?
Happy with that?
I think so.
Great.
Great. Move on. Go.
I think it's important to talk about the fact that we have come together, right? We have decided that you and I together would be a good team. And I think the main reason that is we've come from quite different backgrounds. So Dan, primary school teacher, moving into leadership award-winning assistant principal, then moved into, oh, he's giggling. It's uncomfortable, right? It's uncomfortable when people sort of sell out your accolades out loud. But you are. And I think slightly differently to me, where I kind of sat in one community for a really long time, which has given me one particular insight. I think you have moved around into so many different settings, moved from the classroom into leadership, into school council, and you've been, I always say this about you, such a great connector. You're somebody who is able to be the conduit between educators, leaders, parents, students at times too. And I think that that's your great gift to be able to give this podcast is you operate in many different groups, you've operated in many different settings, and I think that that insight is going to be really helpful, pivotal, influential for these conversations.
I was definitely squirming and feeling slightly awkward as you said that, but I'm learning. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You are
that.
welcome,
really
very welcome.
That. So, wonderful listener, why would you bother joining us and listening to this? Well, first of all, we've got the amazing Laura here. So Laura is a really incredible teacher. So working in the state system, I remember one of the earlier stories that Laura shared was the fact that you had students always reaching out to you. So I think the fact that you've got that happening and now you get to squirm. I think the fact that you've got this really highly capable teacher that not only understands what it's like in classrooms, but you've gone through and you've seen VCE students, or you've seen end of school, high school students going through all the different stresses, the pressures, but then obviously those students really responded to you because they stayed in contact, they reached out to you. One of our guests that we've already had on is a previous student of yours.
Yeah.
So I think the insights that you give to the listener is you get to share real stories and you get to share these real insights about the difference that it makes, being able to communicate and understand the system, understand what it actually looks like from a school perspective, but then you're also a parent. Yeah. So you can also start to think about what is it that we need to consider when we're thinking about talking about this with our kids. And you just do it in a really great way. You're a really good communicator. So I think the thing that people will walk away every single time, you always come back to, well, what does this mean for someone that's actually in it?
Yeah.
And what do we need to consider? Plus, you're bloody great at asking questions. So everyone listening, keep listening because there are some amazing conversations all because of Laura's questions.
Oh, that's very kind. I do want to preface the fact that the advice and the insight you can give across the table is sometimes much easier than when you're sitting on the other side, right? Like, I mean, I'm currently tutoring a variety of VCE students. We're in term 3 right now, and this is the time. This is the time for the breakdowns and the overwhelm and the procrastination. And I've done this so many times, I recognize this as part of the process, that I'm like, you're right on time. This is exactly when this happens. And I'll never forget, I had this student in my class exactly this time, who'd been doing really, really well, and she came to me and she just burst into tears, and I looked at her and I'm like, I've been waiting. We're here. And you've done it now. You've had your cry. We've had your breakdown. Now we can just pick ourselves back up again. It's not that easy as the parent. It's not that easy. And, you know, you and I have children, and it's hard to watch them go through that as a parent. So I just want to offer that empathy as a parent, that when you're going through it with your kid, it can feel really challenging, but from a teacher perspective, I'm telling you that sometimes these messy, difficult times are just part of the process.
And I think to add to that, every single parent I've ever spoken to, every single student that I've ever spoken to, when I ask them what does success look like for them, they don't normally, now this might be different for people in year 12, year 11, they don't tell me the score. They actually say, I want my kid to be happy. I want my kid to feel like they're safe. I want my kid to feel like they're part of something. I want my kid to have friends. They don't sit there and tell me an exact score. So over the last 17 years working in education, that tells me that it's very much more than a score. So the thing I'm really excited about with all of this is that people share their stories and not one person ever says, do you know what? The score made me who I am. So I think that's the thing that's so exciting. And even just hearing you just explain some of that thinking and what you do, we just get real. It's less about assessment, it's less about scores, it's actually less about education, it's actually life beyond school. School's just the start. So,
and hopefully a nice reminder, because I think when you hit that year 11 and 12, it's almost like a funnel, like it funnels you in and you start to sort of lose perspective of what school actually can grant you and what education can afford you, because you're sort of put into this sort of tumble dryer and you're knocked around and you've really only got one perspective. And I think hopefully it is a reminder that yes, you're in this quite intense moment of education where we value a particular thing, but it's not your entire education journey.
No.
And it certainly won't be the journey you take prior to school, post school either.
And then finally, I think for people listening too is the variety of stories as well. I'm really excited because we've got people that have gone unscored. We've got people that, talk about they got the score they wanted. And then we've also got, I'm really excited as we continue to go. So we want to hear from listeners. You can go to morethanascorepod@gmail.com to share or nominate people that you think would have a really great story, because we've got people in the works that they didn't complete school. But they still have these pathways and these stories to share because there's no one way to do it.
Yeah.
So for anyone listening, if you do know someone that has this really interesting story about going through school or life after school and what that's looked like, we'd love to hear from you. Reach out to us because we want to make these episodes real and applicable to anyone that's actually listening out there, because life is real and we want to make sure that it's connected to you.
Yeah. We also have an Instagram page at morethanascorepod. So feel free to join us on there as well. You'll see little snippets and we'll do some teasers on there as well. So get involved. That'd be great, because as I said, this is really about creating a community of support for parents and students going through this.
And finally, Laura, for someone listening, what's coming up? When are we actually releasing these episodes? We're sitting here doing our spiel, talking about this. What's coming up?
Well, welcome to the first episode. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be releasing episodes each Monday, so it'd be amazing if you could follow this show so that each episode comes directly to you, and that also helps us in engagement and things like that. So if you know that there's someone that would benefit, please share this pod, but we will be dropping episodes every Monday.
And I would say as well, as you listen to these episodes, if there's someone that it makes you think about, why not, not necessarily tag them, comment, or just share this too.
Yeah.
And if this is something that you think would really resonate to a family member, I've got some really close friends who have got kids going through high school right now who have said to me that we need to release these episodes ASAP so they can share it with their kids.
Yeah.
So if you know someone that's in school, if you know someone that's got a kid in school going through it, share it with them, because it just might be that story that they need to hear at this point in time. So, and if we do our job really well, we're going to make these stories real and connected to them.
Yeah. So welcome. Thank you for being here with us. Just two teachers that thought we'd try and put something out into the world that can make a difference. So thanks for being here.
Welcome to More Than a Score. Do we high five now, Laura? Is that what we do?
Sure.
Yes, that's episode 1.
All right. That was better than that whatever else we recorded before.
Really
it was better.